Hello! TOEFL Speaking, how to improve it by 3 points. So let me get into it. How can you improve your score? If you've been following our plus 3 points kind of series, I talked about the reading and listening. Today I'm going to talk about the speaking. Usually I talk about how to change your mindset, how to change the way that you think about the questions. So you think less about like, how do I answer this one particular question, and more like, what is the structure of the TOEFL? What is the structure of, in this case, the speaking section? And what do they want me to do? How do they want me to answer? No matter what the question, no matter what it is, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you know how you're supposed to think about the question. You're supposed to think like an American college student. That's different than just talking to somebody on the street or, ordering at a restaurant. Thinking like an academic student is different. So I'm going to teach you how to think about the TOEFL speaking so you don't have to struggle, pretty much. You will understand what's expected of you. And when you know what's expected of you, it'll be easier for you to answer the questions, okay? So let me start by talking about how we're going to do this, is that we're going to follow a two-step process. Now, this is a little difficult, so you might need to watch this again and again, but it's very powerful, okay? So make sure you watch this video again if you don't understand, okay? And make sure you stay to the end so you can really get the kind of whole idea of how to think about questions. This is how you think about questions. Okay, hold on. It's a two-step process here, okay? So there's two things you need to do. For each question type, it's a little different. You have to imagine you are something. Hopefully you can see that. Imagine you are something. And you have to think structurally. This is supposed to be a brick wall. So these are the two things you have to do. You have to imagine you are a certain person in a certain position, and then you think about the structure. That's what structurally means. I had to check the spelling of that one. It's kind of a difficult word. You have to think about the structure, and I'll explain that in a minute. And let me just start by getting right into it immediately, because the best is just to kind of see how it works. Independent 1 and 2, this is the most controversial one that I'm going to say. Imagine you are dumb. I get a lot of complaints from other teachers. I get in arguments actually with people about this. I think that the independent speaking questions in the TOEFL want you to be dumb. Why is that? Okay, so let me explain a little bit. Hopefully you know about the structure of the test. If you don't know about the structure, I'll leave a link down below for you to download the quick guide so you can get used to the structure. This is for people who know about the TOEFL a little bit. The independent questions are kind of general opinion questions. They're just ask you, what do you think about something? Is it better to work in a group, or is it better to work by yourself? They could be even a little bit stranger. They could be something like, should historical sites be open to the public or only for scientists and researchers? That's a real question, both of them, okay? And you have to respond for 45 seconds about your opinion. Now, one way that it's dumb is that you have to have an opinion about everything. There's other cultures, students I have before who are from cultures where they don't have an opinion about everything. Americans tend to have opinion about everything. I'm a teacher, but I have an opinion about environmental science. I have an opinion about space travel. I have an opinion about government spending. I have opinions about things that I have no idea about because that's what's expected of me. I'm expected to kind of have an opinion about these things. I shouldn't really trust other people for the most part. While on the other hand, in other cultures, they tend to trust experts. They trust politicians. They trust scientists. They trust people who have a position of power that know more about something than they do. Okay? So if you're coming from that culture and then you come to take the TOEFL, it might be hard for you to have an opinion about everything. It might be pretty strange to have an opinion about everything, but you have to. You have to have an opinion about everything. So that doesn't really make the test dumb. That really makes it American. Now, what makes it dumb for this particular question is that you have to pick a side and you have to argue for your side. Is it better to work in a group or is it better to work alone? Of course, sometimes it's better to work in a group, sometimes it's better to work alone. It depends on the situation, not on the TOEFL. Situations don't matter. What matters is your opinion, and then you try to make the listener agree with you. You want to say things like, it's always better to work in a group because this and because of this and because of this. You don't want to say, sometimes it's better to work in a group like this situation. Other times it's better to work alone because of this situation. You can do that, but the structure of the test, they really want you to pick a side. They say, do you agree or disagree? That's what makes you have to kind of be dumb, is that if you're an intelligent person, you know that it depends on the situation. You know, there's certain situations where a historical site should be open to the public, and there's certain situations where a historical site should not be open to a public, but not for the TOEFL. You pick one side and you argue for that one side, like there's no other choice. That's how you do it. Okay. So then, once you do that, that's what you're thinking about the structure. Okay. So that's how you think about structure. So you imagine you're dumb. Try. And then you think about, okay, so I'm a dumb person. So what do dumb people do? They take one side and they argue for that one side. Even it doesn't matter what the situation, what the context, they're always right. That's dumb. Okay? You can complain about me in the comments below, I guess. That's for the first one. Okay? So that's how you want to think about it. For the second one, imagine you are, this is for integrated question 3. This is the first integrated question. This question you read and you listen and then you report on information. And I said that you have to imagine you're a reporter. So why should you imagine you're a reporter? Because reporters report on stories that shouldn't be about their opinion. So it's the opposite of number 1. You shouldn't have any outside information. Everything you say should be something from the reading and the listening. Now look, what do reporters do? In question 3, there's an announcement. There's some change on campus. News announces information, new information, changes, okay? Could be something like there's a new baseball coach or they're renovating the school hall, something like that. And so a news person has this information, has this news. They announce it. This is the news. It's the first thing you do. You say, this is what's happening. And then what do? They go and listen to people's opinions. They go out. They say, what do you think about this? What do you think about the new baseball coach? What do you think about the renovations? And you listen to 2 people have a conversation. One person is going to really dominate the conversation. And then you're going to say their opinion and the reasons for their opinion. This is the structure part. So you're going to imagine you're a reporter, and then you think structurally. Okay, so what do I have to do when I speak? First, I have to say what's going on. I have to say this person's opinion, and then I have to say the reasons for their opinion. That's what you do for that. So that's what you're listening for. And that's how you improve, is that you know what you're trying to find, okay? You know what they expect you to do. The question 4 and 6, you have to think like you are a teacher. I talked about this a bit in the video, Improve Your Listening by 3 points. This is about stop thinking like a student and trying to find the correct answer. Instead, think like a teacher. And what do teachers do? They try to explain something to you through examples, through characteristics, through history. So they try to introduce a new topic to you and try to make it more understandable. So what you need to do is that so you're going to imagine you're a teacher, so you need to find the topic, and then you have to figure out the 2 ways that I try to make the topic more understandable. In the last video with the listening, I talked about explaining Christmas to an alien. Okay, so you're going to explain Christmas to an alien. Aliens, no idea what Christmas is. They know English for some reason, so you're going to talk in English, but they don't know what Christmas is. So how are you going to explain Christmas? You start out with a definition. You say something like, yeah, so Christmas is a holiday that was traditionally Christian. Some people think it was more pagan. It's celebrated on December 25th in a lot of Western cultures. Okay, fine. Now what's next? Okay, so I still don't understand what's Christmas, the alien says. And then you have to decide how you keep explaining it. So you're going to have to give examples. So you might say something like, oh, well, for example, we give presents to each other on Christmas to show our appreciation, or we eat a big dinner, or we decorate a tree. You know, there's a lot of different examples I could say. Or I might compare it to another holiday. Christmas is kind of like, well, no, it's not like that. But let's say Christmas is the most important holiday for Americans, just like New Year's is the most important holiday for Chinese, for example. And then I might compare the two. That's what teachers do. That's how they structure these lectures. Okay, so usually they give you the topic in the reading for question 4. In the question 6, it's only listening. And they're like, okay, this is the topic, Christmas. I'm an alien, I don't know what that means. Okay, well, I have to explain it a little bit. So listen to me explain for 3 minutes. I'm going to talk about 2 examples, 2 characteristics, 2 of something. Let's say Christmas again, just to give you an example. We decorate a tree, we give presents. You need to listen for those things. You need to listen to, that's the most important stuff. You need to listen for the most important stuff. The most important stuff is the topic, and the most important stuff is the 2 kind of subtopics that they use to explain the topic. Okay? That's what you have to do for that. And that's how you think structurally. You think like a teacher. Now, the last one. You're my best friend. Aw, thank you. So pretend you're my friend. And of course we're friends. Of course we are. What do I mean? So question 5, it's 2 people talking. Again, just like question 3. But this time there's not an announcement. Instead, one student has a problem. And the other student tries to help the student solve the problem. Let's say, for example, it's always a man and a woman. So you imagine you're my friend, and I have a problem. When your friend has a problem, what do? Well, you listen to the problem, and then you try to help them. You try to give some solutions, some ways to help them solve that problem. And that's what you have to do here. You have to listen, and you think, okay, so what's the problem? You're going to say that when you speak. And then the person offers 2 solutions to the problem. You're going to say those as well when you speak. And then you're going to offer your opinion. You're going to say, this is the only integrated question where you give your opinion. You say, so the man's problem is that his work schedule conflicts with his school schedule. The woman in the conversation thinks that maybe he should quit his job or he can change his school schedule. If I were the man, I would change the schedule, and then you start explaining your opinion. Okay? So think like a friend. And these become much easier when you know how to think about them. I think a lot of students, where they really get in trouble on the TOEFL, is that they just look at the content of the question in front of them, and they think, how do I answer this? Instead, you want to think structurally. You want to think about, what does the TOEFL want? Why are they asking me this? And then when you know why, you can explain it better. And you can follow the conversations, follow the listening, follow the questions a little bit better. Okay? That's it. If you stayed to the end, you're awesome. Thank you. Keep studying really hard. There will be a link for the TOEFL emergency course, Improve Your Score by 3. This is Improve Your Score by 3 points, but the emergency course is you can become a TOEFL master in 3 days. Okay, so there is a 3-day emergency course for you down there. I'll leave a link to other stuff that I mentioned. Thank you for listening, and good luck. Okay, take care, guys. Bye-bye.